Welcome to the next episode of learning more about Northern Italian regional cultures and languages. I am joined with Roberto from Val Camonica in Brescia. Roberto, thank you very
Hi,
much for
everybody.
coming on today. Can you please introduce yourself and your hometown, please?
Hi, everybody. I'm Roberto. I'm a 22-year-old guy. I work at Salvetti Pastry slash Bakery, and I'm in Malonno. In my I wouldn't say city because it's not a city. It's more like a town. We are like 3,000 people living here currently, but we're all getting older because many people from here are moved to Milan, Brescia, Bergamo, and a few of them I know also moved like to a few of them moved to the States. So, a few of the new generation are going away, and the elderly are getting old day by day. And my hometown is very livable. Today's society is quite sunny and quite it's for people that are looking for some quiet, because there ain't really much to do, because we're not like we're on the way to Ponte di Legno, so everybody knows that place, but they all pass by Malonno, but I really never stop here. So it's fun if you want to go for a hike. We are surrounded by mountains and also like churches and stuff, and also we can go for a nice trip to our most famous mountain is Mount Peace 3. You can go there, and it's very fun. It only takes 3 hours to reach the top, and you can see a lot of the places nearby. As I introduce myself, I can say that I speak dialect on a daily basis because I'm surrounded by my elderly parents, or also like my friends. We all speak dialect. I can do an introduction of myself in dialect if that helps, or I
Yes,
can use
please.
only. Okay. My name is Roberto. I would say Massa Ciao Roberto, Meso Roberto. Those are two different ways of saying it. I'm 22. You can say me or 20 or into the wine, which translated is I have 22. I have 22 years, because in dialect we don't use old, not even in Italian. But it would be like I'm 22 years old. Me lavoro a Salvet. I work at Salvetti. What I said before is what I said in Italian. Me lavoro a Salvet. Adesso al Gal Sul, which could be now it's sunny. It's sunny outside, or like 5 minutes ago it was raining, so you could have said now adesso piove. Now it rains, and or also Ansel sono dalla via per Pudda Lane. We're going to Ponte di Legno. This is a phrase you can hear us using. But unfortunately for us, the real dialect that used to be spoken like up to 50 years ago is going lost, because not nowadays is more likely for newer generation to speak in Italian,
Mhm.
and also speaking dialect isn't like very, since it was related to poverty and bad health condition due to war and stuff. Many people are seeing dialect as a rude way of speaking, but I don't see it that way, because it's culture to me. I grew up around old people, and I always enjoyed understanding and speaking in dialect. So that's why it's tough for me to only think of a sentence, because I'm used to with our elderly client to speak in dialect, full dialect, make conversation and stuff in dialect. That could be an example. Like, there's this guy, which I'm not gonna say the name because of privacy, but he comes in, he's around like 75 years old, and I knew him for a while, and he always speaks in dialect. Instead of saying the price, he always buys a newspaper. Instead of saying the price and the name of the newspaper in Italian, he comes in and he says "Due 50," which means €1.50. And then he starts joking around, but not in a negative manner. Like, he starts to when there's nobody around, he starts to make some jokes with you in dialect, so you can brighten up the mood. When he comes in, he says "Due 50." You can respond by saying okay, I mean, okay, it's something we use in Italian as well, and say dammi solci, which means give me the money, because I work at the desk, so I can take the money and give him the receipt. And then he stays there and then says, allora come ala, which means, so how you doing? And I respond, ah beh, la va bene a te, which means I'm good, how about you? And he says, dimmi il te, which means I don't know, you tell me. It was also a way of joking around.
Hmm.
And as we go on, it can become like, it depends on the day. You can make fun of, I mean, not make fun, but you can joke about, how's the weather, because he comes in early. So he jokes about the time that he's coming, like around 6 a.m.,
Hmm.
which is very early. And
Yeah.
he says, sono per presto oggi, which means I'm awake early today as well. Or if he comes in after 7, which is rare, he says, "Oh, mi sentì la sveglia," which means I didn't hear like the tone, like the ring.
Yeah.
It could be saying something, but it would be more specific because it lives in a part of Malonno whose name cannot be translated is Stradel. He says, "Beh, sarà pure della fargota Stradel," which means, well, it should be time to go and do something in Stradello, the Italian name of the way he lives in, which means he's gonna work or be productive for the day in Stradello. I don't know what he used to be like a bricklayer back then, but now he's retired, so he's just there to take care of its home. And or maybe when he's headed out, like to go to meet his brother who lives in Malone as well, he says, "Beh, non lo posso dire al fratello," which means, well, I'm gonna go and say hi to my brother. Or also, "Che fa che ieri?" Which means, "What did you do yesterday?" Or also many of such things. There are small phrases, but speaking them on a daily basis, using them on a daily basis, allows them not to get lost, because many people my age, I notice that don't understand when elderly people are speaking, because many of them are still speaking in dialect, and I'm one of the few that really understands what they're saying. So I don't know, it makes me feel like good because I can communicate more, and also like try to improve my dialect as well, because I grew up obviously in a Italian speaking country, and also they always speak and tend to speak, and also spoke when I was born Italian, which wasn't a common thing up until 35 years ago. So it's making me like,
It,
it helps me practice.
Definitely, and it's very nice that you mentioned this elderly man, because I often hear people say that they only speak dialect when they're angry, and I find that quite sad because any language, if it's not used in a positive way, is never going to leave a long-lasting impression on someone. But you cited this elderly gentleman who comes in your shop regularly and often makes jokes in dialect. So I like to think that for the audience here, who maybe associate the dialect with only negative language, here is a contrary example where a guy is speaking in dialect, he's making jokes, he's saying things in a very light-hearted manner. So I think it is very nice to hear. It's unfortunate that you are one of the few people your age or below who speak the dialect quite well. But hopefully, with videos like this, we can maybe promote the usage and kind of inform the audience it's got a lot of history. But touching upon kind of my next question for you, Roberto, are there any traditions in your town or in your valley that you like to participate in? If not, more generally, what does a dialect mean to you? Is it important for you to speak it? Do you want to carry it on for future generations?
We have like more traditional dishes than traditional like as events that are carried on through the generations. But also we have like this dish that are migole, which could be translated in tiny bits. They cannot be translated properly because we don't also have a translation in Italian. So it's like a dish was getting lost because it used to be like rich on protein back then during war times, and also like elderly people are keep on doing that, but it's getting lost. So whenever we get the chance at our like festivals, but we don't have like as I said, we don't have like festivals or traditions that are carried on. But our festivals are like mountain running. We're this place of mountain run. This weekend there was a manifestation, an important manifestation of mountain running here in Malonno. So and they made like this typical dish of Malonno, properly Malonese dish Migole. They made it for all the people who were running. But if you go down a bit to Cividate Comuno, we have like an important festival, which is the Roman Nights of Cividate Comuno, which was because Cividate is a place where Romans used to be. People of the Roman Empire stayed there. So basically, they discovered it and they make a festival out of it. It's something now it's more commercial actually. There are like stands and they're selling. It's basically like I don't know. I've been there once when I was young because it's once a year, but lately I couldn't get there. And they basically have stands and beer stands, and uh, they make like sandwiches and stuff. It's not really something really and there's nothing really historical about it. So it's just the name that recalls ancient times. To me personally, dialect is something I want to carry myself, and I want to teach my children when I have any. And also I would like people my age, younger people, to understand that is like a cultural thing. We grew up from people who spoke dialect. We grew up in a rural area, and we need dialect to conserve our roots. So it's something I want to carry on. Yeah.
That's very nice to hear. And again, as much as very few people might be speaking dialect now, as you said, when you have your own family, when your friends and your family have their own families, hopefully it is something that can carry on and actually increase in terms of usage for the next generations. It's a vital part of your area's history. And it's very nice to hear that you think of dialect in a very positive way. Just moving on, Roberto, are there any projects you're involved with in the area or any projects you're involved in to do with dialects that you'd like to spend a bit of time to promote?
Unfortunately, we were trying to do like the international like manifestation because we have many people who came here from Romania, Russia. I knew of Ukraine,
Mhm.
America as well. We have a few people here in Malonno from all over the world, basically, and we wanted to try to and make up like an international event, but local, but international. Everybody brings something of their own culture. We were trying to organize that, but unfortunately, because it was an idea back in 2019 that I was supporting, but then COVID occurred, and everything kind of stands still. But we're trying to bring it back because we want to. We want me myself personally. I would love to bring a part of my culture as dialect because
Yeah.
everybody should have been involved in that. And what I noticed is that me as a young person speaking dialect, I would like to bring that here because the original dialect, I remember my grandpa speaking it with a few of people his age. He was born in the 1920s, so a long time ago. It was really tough to me to understand because it was really strict and it was hard for me to understand. But nowadays, a few people have gotten under the influence of Italian. But as I said, these older gentlemen you mentioned before, and I mentioned before, he speaks. I wouldn't say the proper real dialect, but a 95% of it, yeah. So I would love to like involve him in the project so we could be making like a big thing, like Americans bring a bit of Americans, Russians a bit of Russian traditions and stuff. This person from Romania, I know he could bring something about, I don't know, whether he likes food, costumes, I don't know, something traditional. And me personally would love to like propose dialect in this manifestation. We're planning it, but it could be take a while. We actually, it's just a project now.
I think that's a great idea. And definitely when you do have this project up and running, especially with this elderly man, it'd be a pleasure to take some videos about this project. And if you do have any other friends, or even if you could ever get this elderly man who speaks a more, quote, pure form of a dialect, it'd be a pleasure to have him and have you guys back on the channel. I'd
Yeah,
love to be able to.
that would be great. Yeah, I'll keep you updated on it because it's still a project. We send it to the Malonno's headmaster. We send it to him, and but it's sitting there. So we're waiting for him to say something. But he's also a person who likes cultural stuff and things. So I feel like he's moving underground to make this happen. And hopefully it will be done soon.
I look forward to hearing all the updates with regards to this. But I just want to end by saying thank you, Roberto, for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you and learning more about Malonno in Val Camonica in the province of Brescia. It's an area steeped in really interesting history. And I will look forward to playing my part in promoting the use of the dialect in Val Camonica. So thank you for coming on, and I wish you
Thank you
all
for
the
having
best.
me.
Thank you.
Wish you all the best with your project. Is really an important one, and it's also interesting. So I'm looking forward to hear how it ends, and I'm looking forward to hear more about you. If you have anything more to ask or do, I'm here.